welcome back. It's Dr. D, the MFT. Today I am reporting on day 7 of 100 Days of Nice. Today's theme is about self-regulation, self-soothing, being centered and grounded. So let's jump into it. The nurturing self-talk that I had for myself was, I am a compassionate healer. This was important to me and kind of life-giving because I'm very comfortable with the more I don't even like that I was about to say that, but like the more the terms that I was trained to label myself with, such as a marriage and family therapist or a mental health provider, counselor, etc., etc. However, healer was a word that I'd only really heard in my spiritual circles and life. So beginning to marry the two, marry my training and my profession with the spiritual implications of being a healer is something that has been very empowering for me to begin to conceptualize and integrate. The integrity practice I had for myself in this sense was practicing a compassionate understanding lens for myself, which is what this whole 100 Days of Nice is about, but also doing that for every person that I came into contact with yesterday. And so that was being very intentional about however I processed anything, when I did have the conscious awareness about myself, to process everything I could first through that compassionate lens. I was also very intentional about how I was focusing my energy and what I was using my energy for. The complement, compassion, and commit piece. I was able to compliment myself for doing a very amazing job in self-regulating during very intense situations I found myself in my professional life as well as in my personal life. I also recognize that I did great work in co-regulating the emotional atmospheres that I was a part of. If you're not sure what co-regulating is, that is when you're able to self-regulate yourself and provide a model for the people around you on how to self-soothe and how to self-regulate their own emotional reactivity or dysregulation. The emotional intelligence piece was, I felt very centered yesterday. I was very centered in my role. I was very centered in my body, and I was very centered in the meaning making that I was making throughout the entire day. I also felt a lot of anxiety, fear, and insecurity. However, those emotions were not my own. Those were the emotions of the people around me that were very activated within them that I could also feel as a result. We are social beings. As social beings, we have something called mirror neurons. And when someone in our social circle, in this dynamic that we are cooperating in, is exhibiting any type of emotion or behavior, we tend to pick it up and often mimic it at a subconscious level. So we can use this to our advantage as well. That's where the co-regulation comes in. In most of the situations I was in yesterday, I had a position of power, so I was able to invite the person more directly to join me in a breathing exercise or in a muscle progression relaxation exercise. However, that's not the case all the time, right? I'm talking about in my work, and as a parent, I found myself doing that yesterday. Sometimes it's with peers, or sometimes it's with someone that has a higher level of power or authority than us in that social setting. So one thing that we can do is we can still practice that deep breathing. We could still practice that self-soothing. We could still practice that centering and grounding ourselves in, okay, what's my role here? How is it that I want to show up in this space? What function do I want to serve in this interaction, in this conversation, in this group. Centering and grounding our bodies. That's where, as I suggested, the breathing and the muscle exercises come in, but also having control and centering ourselves when it comes to the meaning making. I was very intentionally choosing to make meaning through a lens of compassion and a lens of healing. And so that had a very powerful effect on how I chose to respond to those situations. If I did not intentionally say, this is how I'm going to process whatever happens first, through that very compassionate healing lens, things could have gone very differently in a variety of situations that I was in. So that was very helpful. And I'm hoping that this is helpful for you to just think about. Sometimes when you feel your heart pounding, sometimes when you notice like there's a little bit of clamminess in your wrists, I meant in your palms, or if you notice like your fists are clenched, or you just feel uncomfortable or tense, sometimes what you're feeling in your body, sometimes what you are feeling emotionally, sometimes that is the emotions of another person that is in your space that you're picking up on, and learning how to differentiate that and center yourself, ground yourself back into yourself, into your body, into what you at the individual level are feeling, and the role and the function that you want to fulfill in that space can be very helpful in being able to process, being overly stimulated or anything along those lines. We play a role in any system or dynamic we find ourselves in. And being aware of that allows us to be very intentional about whether we're enabling, whether we are playing a role in escalating, or whether we choose to play a role in co-regulating and allowing situations to calm, settle, or redirect the energy of the room. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you all again soon.